Welcome back to my channel, guys. Welcome to the month of August. Welcome to Dr. OJ Speaks. My name is Dr. Droyeko Salad. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome. You are joining us at the best time. But don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications before you leave, because guess what? We are here every single week bringing amazing content your way. And you definitely want to be the first to know about this. Okay. Today's episode is about that time I dated, almost dated, or even married a toxic partner. How many people, don't worry, you don't have to raise your hands, you don't have to leave a comment in the section. I'll leave your name, you can leave a comment in the section. How many people have ever been in a situation where they have been with a toxic partner? Or almost been with a toxic partner? Or you are currently with a toxic partner? This episode is for you. I'm going to be providing a lot of signs, a lot of things that will really shed some light on how to identify toxicity in a relationship. All right, guys, the reason I'm doing this is so many reasons actually, but one of the biggest things is because it actually helps our advocacy at Honey Drops Foundation. In case you've never heard about the Honey Drops Foundation, I am the president and founder of that 501c3 nonprofit organization. The Honey Drops Foundation actually has been working in the global community, raising awareness through education to empower, elevate youth and their families to live beyond domestic violence and other forms of violence, of course. So that is the mandate of the Honey Drops Foundation. If you would like to support their work that they're doing, go to the website honeydropsfoundation.org to get more information, donate, volunteer, join them in the work that they're doing, because definitely this is a work that is so much needed in our community. So let's get to today's episode. But before we do that, let me tell you about our sponsors. HD Pro Global Beauty Institute, they are sponsoring today's episode. HD Pro Global Beauty Institute actually has a lot of tools and systems that allows them to help develop independent med spa operators all over the globe who are looking to own their own med spa facilities. They offer training, certification, business-in-a-box resources. That means these individuals don't have to lift their finger. They just have to sign up and all of the work is done for them, and they will be ready in about 90 days or less to start helping other people transform their bodies and physical appearance in 90 days or less. Yes, you said it right. All right, guys, I will be right back to talk about toxicity. That's a tongue twister, y'all. Toxicity in relationships. Yes, that time I dated, almost dated, or even married a toxic partner. Be right back. Discussion, and I'm going to go in right away by defining what toxicity looks like to me. Mind you, this could be something different for you. For me, being in a toxic relationship means being in a relationship with someone who's unsupportive, who has the tendency to always bring negative energy into the interaction that you're having with them. Now, some people might just be absolutely hopelessly toxic, and there's nothing you can do for them. But some people might just need some type of emotional intelligence instruction. And there's a book called Emotional Intelligence. Actually, a friend of mine recommended it to me a few years ago, and I kind of started reading. There's the audio version of it, which you can absolutely listen to, and I promise you, you will not be the same person after reading this book. I highly recommend it. So, toxic people bring negative energy because they don't know how to communicate. Tedious communication is one sign of a toxic relationship. When the communication always seems to draw so much energy from one person to the other, it just seems like that person never says what they mean, or what they say is not what they were trying to say and how they said it. And for the life of me, you just can't seem to understand or be in a good place when you're communicating with this person. That is a sign of toxicity in relationships. Another thing is lack of empathy or lack of decorum. There are two different things. Empathy means just being able to be mindful of your partner. Some people don't know how to be mindful. They're just like, oh, whatever, you know. And for me, that nonchalant attitude is toxic, because the other person will feel less valued by you treating them that way. So lack of empathy or lack of decorum, that means appropriateness of behavior. Woo! Appropriateness of behavior, I cannot say this enough. This is knowing how to act in different situations, knowing the appropriate response to different circumstances or different things in different environments, depending on where you are. You know, decorum is actually something that I guess I grew up, you know, in a family where that was something we were trained to identify and morph ourselves and adjust ourselves accordingly. So for me, I am so much of a social chameleon. I'm able to kind of just adapt to any situation I find myself in. Some people don't know how to present themselves in some situations, especially when it gets out of their comfort zone and if it's not something they're comfortable with. So lack of decorum actually can make a relationship extremely toxic and uncomfortable for the other partner. Another thing that I find is excessive dependency. Okay, so just because you're in a relationship does not mean that you have to be codependent. I mean, dependency is good because that's why we kind of couple up, right? That's why you get with a partner, so that you guys can lean on each other from time to time, help support each other. But there is a very thin line between a healthy dependency and excessive dependency. That line can easily be crossed or blurred just like that without you knowing it. So it's very important for you to be mindful of excessive dependency when it comes to relationships. You can't literally do anything without your partner. You can't, I mean, it's like 24/7 interaction, 24/7 being together. Like, there's a point where even being in a relationship and you being dependent on that person can weigh on the other person. It can get tiring. It's like you're constantly carrying this load that you can never put down. So excessive dependency to me is a sign of a toxic relationship. Another thing is just excessive focus on the superficial things. You know, yes, attraction is good. It's a very big part of two people getting together. But when a partner brings toxicity into it is when they are excessively focusing on those superficial things. That's pretty much all they care about. They don't care about the person on the inside or who you are. You can be a nasty, horrible, inconsiderate human being. As long as you look good, they're good. I mean, for me, that's not healthy. You know, it has to be body, mind, soul, spirit, everything together. It can't just be the packaging. You know, excessive focus on the superficial things can become toxic after a while. That's what is driving this high wave of body augmentations that we see on social media. So many women are running around, of course. I cannot discount this because that is the business that I am in. It's the business of vanity. But there is a difference between wanting to make adjustments to your body in order to be healthy than just doing it just because it satisfies another person's fantasies, or it satisfies their own hunger for something. So if you're doing all of these things just because this is what your partner likes, you're getting a bigger butt, bigger boobs, smaller waist, I mean, putting your health at risk, getting surgery after surgery, doing this, spending a lot of money, just because you feel like that's what your partner is attracted to, that is not healthy, y'all. Whether for the female or the male, that is toxic. Excessive focus on the superficial things, not a good thing. We love to look good. I love to look good. And I would love to believe that my man should look good. Yes, dress good, unconditional support and being dismissive of the things that matter to you. When someone offers conditional support to the things that are very important to you, it's another sign for toxicity. They will support you if it fits into their agenda. They will support you, or they'll be dismissive if they don't see the relevance of what you're doing. You know, you're into media, but they don't really see why you should do it, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to give their support to you because they don't see the relevance of it. When you love someone, you support them regardless of what it is they're doing. You believe in them. You show them that you have their back no matter what. You come up with creative ideas to even make it better. So conditional support and dismissiveness can be a sign of toxicity. So when we come back, I'm going to dive deeper into some of the things that toxicity actually brings about. One of which is domestic violence. And we're going to talk about how to identify some of the signs of domestic violence, and all of this emanate from being in a toxic relationship. I hope you guys have gotten some value so far. I'll be right back, so stay tuned. My name is Dr. Droyeko Salad. I'm a beauty professional, med spa operator, franchise owner, and director of education at HD Pro Global Beauty Institute and Body Med Spa. As a mother of 3 boys and immigrant business owner, it is important for me to have a steady and sustainable source of income that transcends economic, government, or public health uncertainties and instability like the global pandemic we are still recovering from. That is why HD Pro Global has created multiple systems that allows my team and I to train, educate, certify, and establish independent med spa operators like us all over the globe. For more information, check out our website to attend a free webinar to get started on your path to continuous success, no matter what is going on in your part of the world. I cannot wait to meet you. Thank you. Welcome back. So we talked about toxicity and some of the things that you can identify with when you're in a toxic relationship with a partner. Now I'm going to go a little deeper and talk about different types of different levels of domestic violence. Domestic violence emanates from being with a toxic partner. Of course, you have to be with a toxic or narcissistic, controlling, sadistic human being to find yourself in domestic violence situations. And a lot of people don't understand how to identify these signs, especially when they are dating. So when they are dating, you don't have to wait till you get into the marriage situation for you to actually be a victim of domestic violence. You know, we have teen dating violence, which is growing at a very rapid rate in middle schools, high schools, colleges. So for those of us who are young adults and dating, of course, those are the same people transitioning from those stages to adulthood. And if they haven't gotten the help that they need to train and, retrain and transform their minds and their behavior to become better citizens, guess what? They are going to be aggressors, abusers, people who are, constituting this nuisance in their adult life. So let's talk about some signs that you can use to identify a domestic violence situation as it begins. So there are levels to this thing, right? Domestic violence happens in different ways. There are different types. Let's talk about it. The first one is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse, and then it gets to the big daddy of them all, physical abuse. People always think that physical abuse is domestic violence. Domestic violence gets physical after it's been emotionally traumatizing, after you've been verbally put down, and in some cases where you are commingling finances, the person has tried to wield their power financially over you, to control you, to manipulate you. So those are the different types of domestic violence, I guess the ways that domestic violence is expressed. Now let's talk about the different levels. There's levels to this thing. Oh, oh God. It's like in the kingdom of darkness, there's hierarchy to wickedness. That is it. So when you talk about domestic violence, there's hierarchy to wickedness. As in, it's horrible. Well, I mean, being a community advocate for over 6 years, I have been very intentional about learning the intricate details of how these things work so that I can educate the people that I come in contact with. Now let's talk about stages of abuse. The first stage of abuse is the grooming stage, when they come to you and they are your knight in shining armor and they are everything you ever dreamed of and everything so good since sliced bread was created. They come to you so good, so kind. And guess what? Let me debunk this myth. It's not just men, oh. It's women as well. Domestic abuse aggressors and people who carry out these acts, they come in all shapes and sizes and in every single gender. Actually, there's two genders, not every. Well, I guess there's so many now, but me, oh, I recognize two genders, men and women, male and female, as God made them all. Okay, so they come to you, they groom you, they pull you in, they show you the things that you probably always dreamed of. They understand you, they psychologically read you. They read, as in, because one thing with aggressors is they read their victims. They don't just go to anybody. Like, imagine you come to me, you want to come and abuse me, or you console, how? How can that be? But don't let me just say that, because that would be very proud for me to say that, because honestly, anybody can fall victim to this. Anybody can. And that is why we educate ourselves on a very serious note. I'm not joking right now. Anybody, no matter how high ranking you are, imagine the number of women, highly placed, highly successful CEOs, boss ladies who are victims of domestic violence. Men who are in very high positions of authority, captains of industry, who are victims of domestic violence. So this thing can never be taken lightly. I'm trying to put a little humor in there just to kind of keep you guys going, but this is a conversation that is extremely serious and it should be taken as such. Your aggressor, your abuser will come in as your knight, your queen in the whatever. I don't know how women ride into lives, but anyway, you get what I'm trying to say. They groom you, they bring you in, they reel you in. And the next thing is they start to manipulate you. They manipulate you with your emotions. Once they see that you're all locked in and you see that you're all into them, then the emotional mind play starts. The game starts. They start to manipulate you. They start to pit you against the people who were existing in your life before they ever came into the picture. They start to use things to kind of try to get you to second guess yourself, to doubt yourself, to lean on them more and more and more and more. They try to get you to be their only or to get you to make them your only confidant. They manipulate you in many, many ways. So many ways, so many angles they can come in. Then the next stage is, remember we've talked about the grooming stage, when they pull you in, when they come in, then they manipulate you. Now, number 3, they start to separate you. That's the separation stage, when they try to now begin to isolate you. They have to isolate you in order to carry out their vendetta. They cannot actually abuse you when they know that there's people who that you are accountable to or who are accountable for you. They ensure that you see all your friends as enemies of progress, the people who don't want your happiness, the people who don't want your love to blossom, the people who don't want you to be in a good place, the people who are your enemies all of a sudden. They are now your village people running after you. You know, they paint that picture in your head. Because guess what? They are now in your head. They're not just, you know, in your physical environment. They're in your head. They're in your ear. You know, they're saying things to you. So all of these things work together. Now, after you've gone through the isolation stage, now the real problem starts. All right, let's talk about emotional and mental abuse. We've mentioned the first 3, which is the grooming stage, when they reel you in. We've talked about the manipulative stage and the isolation and separation. Now we're going to talk about the mental and emotional abuse. Now, this is when the real works of darkness begins. The wickedness in high places. Mental abuse is that part of the process where the aggressor will break you down. That is when they really pull apart the fibers of your mind that makes you a human being. And now you are completely subject to their control. Because they manipulate you, they threaten your family members, they go to all manners of extremes just to get their victims under control. And the biggest part of this game is the mind job. That is when they break down your mind. The mental abuse is the hardest part of domestic violence that people find it most difficult to heal from. When a person has been through abuse and they finally survive, the mental part stays with them, the residue of the mental torture, it stays with them for years and years. And if they're not properly helped, if they don't go through the adequate amount of therapy, getting through the healing process, most people do not recover fully from the effects of domestic violence. And this is a reality that we see people who are broken all over the place, getting into these relationships, getting into these marriages. Broken people can only break other people. And that's why we have so many broken relationships in the world today. I'm not saying domestic violence is the main issue here, but I'm saying that it actually contributes a huge percentage to the problems that relationships are facing. Then we have the verbal abuse, where the words are like the weapons of mass destruction. They say sticks and stones don't hurt, I don't know, I don't really remember what that phrase is. Sticks and stones don't hurt, but words do hurt. You can beat someone, bruise them, they might not really feel it, but when you speak, when we speak, for a speaker like me, I have over the years understood the power in the words that I carry. And my command of communication can sometimes be heavy just because I'm able to use my words in a certain way that other people are not. So I'm extremely mindful of how I use my words and how I talk and how I'm able to communicate with people. So verbal abuse is a huge portion of domestic violence. Telling someone who they're not, calling them out of their names, bringing them down, making them feel unworthy. A lot of people become anorexic. A lot of people have insomnia. A lot of people develop body shaming insecurities just from this verbal abuse. And over the years, they see themselves in a way that they're really not, just because an abuser has made that to be their reality. Some people develop bulimia just because an abuser has made their words a weapon to destroy their mind. The final part of domestic violence really is the physical abuse. That is the part that we get to see. Those are the bruises that we get to see, the scars that we see. Those are the things that we see and we say, oh my God, this person has been abused. But do you know that before a person gets to the point of becoming physically abused, they have been abused in so many ways than we can even account for. They have gone through so many traumatic, mind-blowing, spirit-breaking, mind-numbing, traumatic experiences that honestly, it's a wonder and a miracle how they're able to continue to live every single day. So when we talk about toxicity in relationships, it's not just about this guy has negative energy. It's not just about bad vibes. It's not just about that. We say it goes deeper, guys. It goes so much deeper. Because a toxic person has the potential to become an abuser and an aggressor. That is why it is important for you to avoid at all costs. Once you begin to see these red flags with people, both for male and for females, someone who is toxic is a good candidate, in fact, a perfect candidate for being a domestic violence abuser or an aggressor, as we call them in the domestic violence community. So toxicity is not just something I'm talking about today just because I want to talk about relationship issues. It's a serious matter that actually pertains to life and death. So let's take it seriously. I'm so sorry that my episode today is heavy, 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 but it's something that is so near and dear to my heart. And in order for you to support this cause, I would honestly, I would ask, and I would ask and ask and ask again for you to go to the honeydropsfoundation.org and donate to the cause of that organization and support the work that we're doing, especially with our youth. Our youth are our primary focus. We do help families and individuals, but our youth are the focus because they are the future. If we are able to help in some type of way transform the minds of our youth and elevate them to the point where they live beyond domestic abuse, teen dating violence, and all forms of violence, I believe that we would have done our part in saving a huge percentage of the future population. And we would have done our part in helping to redeem the times for these children who might not know any better. All right, guys, it's been a wonderful day. I could go on this topic, but I'm going to stop here for today, and I will see you guys back here next week. Don't forget to subscribe, turn your notifications on, because guess what? It's only going to be a week, and I'll be back. Okay, thank you guys. It's been a wonderful episode. I know this was a bit of a heavy topic to discuss, but honestly, we cannot shy away from talking about the things that will make our lives better. It can't always be happy-go-lucky every time. We have to be able to help us help each other, each one teach one. So every tool and strategy that I have shared today, hopefully you're able to share with somebody else so that you never know whose life you're going to be saving. Because some people find themselves in situations that they're not even aware that they are in those situations, right? So if you have learned one or two things today that you did not know before today, please share this video and like and leave a comment below. But most importantly, before you leave this broadcast, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notification, because we're going to be bringing you amazing content about this particular theme the entire month of August. All right, guys, I will see you next week for another episode of Dr. OJ Speaks. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.